Something wonderful is happening to me right now. Something wonderful is happening to me right now. I accept things the way they are. I accept things the way they are not. Something wonderful is happening to me right now. I love wasting. I love wasting. I get free. I reap abundantly. I already have everything I need. Wonderful is happening to me right now. Don't you feel it? Something wonderful is happening to me right now. Oh yeah, I accept things the way they are. I will. I accept things the way they are not. Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
Okay, welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. We are your greeting team and the bookshop worker. I hope you come and join us some Sunday because we have a lot of fun over here.
Give me a hug.
We love everybody here.
Welcome to the Spiritual Living Center. These are my angels.
What you say?
And welcome to the center. So glad to see you. Okay?
I ask everyone to please take a deep, loving breath as each of us settle into the most inner God part that each of us are. As we move into this most sacred day, the love, the blessings, the memories that we each share. I know right here, right now, that each person here today is in the right and perfect spot, settling into your most inner heart, the love that each of you are. Sitting in the silence of our own inner heart, and it's okay if your mind is a little busy. There will come a time when you sit in the silence and you just know that the inner God is speaking to you, to each of us. Feel the light, the energy of life and love just beaming into our bodies. What a glorious day to be alive and to know that each of us are standing in our own truth. Feel the tingle of love and peace and the light. The glory that is here right now. Again, peace coursing through our bodies, our mind, and our heart. And as we settle into even more of this knowingness of each of us, I ask you, when it is comfortable for you, to open your eyes and become present now. Namaste. I ask each of you just to center yourself comfortably in your chair. Open your heart and let my words be your words as I speak in the first person. I know that God is the creator of all. God is love, peace, integrity, joy, exuberance. I am one with the God within, the love, the joy, the peace, the exuberance, the fun-filled life. And I declare here right now that each of us are living our life fully, fun-filled and loving, enjoying life and being exuberant about what we're experiencing. I am so grateful for our reverends, for the foresight and the love that they hold each of us in. The Ministry of Prayer team, Patty and Dave, all of the musicians, the people that do all of the sound, Julius, the ushers, the greeters, the congregation. Because of you, all of us are here, as each of you uphold all of us in love. And again, I am so blessed, so grateful, and so thankful. And please join me in saying, and so it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, our non-guest speaker, Reverend Wanda.
What a wonderful surprise. I'm so grateful. And this is a perfect topic for me this morning, a grateful heart. Because I truly have a grateful heart. Who said that they're here for the first time? I sort of missed that part. All right, I just want to share with you, we came, there's my son right there in the front row. You want to clap for him? Yes, because we came as visitors too. We were from California, we moved here, and we came as visitors, and everybody was so warm and loving and kind, all of the things that the mission of the church stands for. And now it's my spiritual home. It's our spiritual home. The children are actually small. All those grandchildren of mine, the 6, 7 of them are all really small. Now they're taller than we are, almost as tall as James and Jeff, and one of them already has a beard and he's only 18. So it feels like forever. A grateful heart. So this month of November, we're celebrating Thanksgiving. The theme of the month is financial health and prosperity. I want to say one thing. In your program, it talks about gratitude, and it says that gratitude is not happiness that brings us gratitude. It's gratitude that brings us happiness. Gratitude brings us happiness. So our mission here is expressing love, empowering lives, and inspiring hearts. Now the thing that's so exciting for me about this is that my mother told me to prepare me for my life, that I was gonna, I was gonna be alone. I was going to be alone, and so my mother told me I was going to be alone. I didn't have a husband. Well, I had one or two, not at the same time. But by and by, they went by. So my mother did better the second time around, and they did everything together. And she was really concerned about me, because after all, I was what? Alone, she told me. And so how did I use that? I used that to become really independent and self-sufficient and, pick myself up by my own bootstraps and go forward in life. And yet, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I have all of you. I even have a chair that says this is my spiritual home. I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I'm loved. And Major Combs, I've known him for over 5 years. And he basically said, we met at the Air Force Base. I, a civilian, RN, community case manager. He, a distinguished major, and getting ready to, it's retirement, they call it out processing in military lingo, which I didn't speak at all when I first got there. But now 7 years later, I sort of got that part down. And he said, I'll keep in touch. Now, how many of you have been in a work setting and people say, okay, I'll keep in touch? Anybody have that experience? And how many of you also have the experience that they really kept in touch? You have that experience? No. See, the intention might be there, but the follow-through sometimes isn't. Except military. Many times they actually keep in touch, as did James all these years. And not just the fun times, but when I had surgery, hey, do you need to go buy toilet paper? What can I do to help you? Not all the glamorous stuff always, but maybe some of the things that other people don't do. I got the same kind of feeling here. People will walk up, hug you in the morning. Many times they're delivering a message to me, just what I needed to hear. They come and tell me that. It's that spiritual connection that I'm so grateful for. And the emeritus comes from the generous and kind recognition bestowed on me from the congregation that I was privileged to serve for over 15 years when I was in Southern California. So that's a beautiful thing. I didn't tell them I was a minister. I thought I was on the down low, sneaking in, just quiet, retired. And the one time Reverend Cheryl said something about Wanda came out or whatever, I said, yeah, she got that right. Finally, I was looking for a spiritual home. So I hope visitors, you'll come back. You're welcome here. Wonderful people. And wonderful people in large and small. So anyway, the grateful heart it sets the foundation that leads to the consciousness of prosperity. So a grateful heart is a building block on which prosperity is built. Now, how many people like A's in terms of grades? You like A's? All right, so I'm going to give you a couple of A's. Absolute abundance and perfect prosperity includes, this is according to me, I don't have a book to say, hey, I got it from this book, but it came from me. An attitude, that's the first A, attitude. An attitude is a feeling, a thinking, a believing way of perceiving the world, perceiving your life. So when you have that attitude of gratitude, you're being uplifted in terms of your prosperity. Now let's look at this for a minute. We had thought we were going to use a lavalier mic, now we're not, so here it is. But I want to show you my hands. And I want to show you this hand. This hand. Now I'm going to show you this hand. See, there's a difference, isn't it? And the point I wanted to make here was that a closed hand, a closed heart is not open to receive. There's no way you can get in a closed heart. So that might be a first place to look. Am I closed? Or am I open to receiving the good, the joy, the peace, the love that's available to me? That's the question. Now, to what extent, here's another one, to what extent am I currently receiving the health, the wealth, the happiness, the money that's available? That's available to me. So that's the question. To what extent? Now some people can't even say the word money. It's the truth. They think it's a bad word, really. Reverend Dan will school us on that next week, because that's going to be his topic. And nowhere it doesn't say anything like that in the teaching. It was the love of money that's the root of all evil, not money itself. Not money itself. That's a medium of exchange. And we're going to get some pretty soon, aren't we? All right. So we are receiving, it's my favorite part of the whole thing. So, and there's a reason for it. There's a reason for it. Because we get to consciously participate in spiritual law. The law of circulation is really important. And I love the idea that it's connected with the heart, because the heart, really from a medical perspective, this is probably not the heart. But the heart is a pump. And it circulates nutrients and food and oxygen and everything that the body needs. So to what extent am I receiving? That's a question that you can ask for yourself. And are you receiving are you enjoying what you're receiving, really? That's another question. And sometimes it's yes, and sometimes not so much. So the mental equivalent of what we're thinking, feeling, believing is a mirror of our beliefs, what we think we deserve. What we think we deserve. Jesus said what? It's done unto you as what? You believe. Simple, right? Is that simple? Yes. But maybe sometimes it doesn't feel easy, perhaps. At least for me. Okay, so how do I cultivate, nurture, grow the attitude of gratitude? Because we know that this activates the universal law of increase. Now when I talk about universal law, that means it's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. It's the same here, it's the same in Europe, it's the same in Africa. The law is the same. How it is used consciously to create, or maybe subconsciously. The law still is doing its thing. It's delivering to us at the level of our acceptance and belief. So the attitude of gratitude. Okay, so it activates the universal law of increase, which elevates your consciousness of prosperity. So how do you cultivate? Anybody want to cultivate anything more in life? More love? No? A little bit? Not really sure? Yeah, I tried it, I didn't like it. I'm not sure what you tried. But now you're awake. Now you're awake. And you can consciously move in the direction of your dreams. So an attitude of gratitude. How do we enjoy a grateful heart? Well, again, the Bible says what? In everything, what? Anybody know? Give thanks. In everything, give thanks. Everything? Yeah, see? You know, I'm not so sure about that, Reverend Wanda. Everything? Mm-hmm. That's what it says. That's how it's written. Okay. So you might say, I don't really like everything that happens in my life. Did you ever have, well, I don't know, a bad day? You called a day, you said it was bad. Right? Did you ever have it, or just only I did? Because I had it for all of us. This reminded me, as I was thinking about this, what my daddy told me. My Uncle Jimmy said, and now you can have it as your story too. And he said, and he was laughing, my daddy was laughing. And he said, you know, your uncle, you're sort of like your Uncle Jimmy. He's talking about thought. He said, the roof may fall in or blow off. And Uncle Jimmy would just say, well, at least it's not raining. It's a preponderance of thought. It's an attitude of gratitude. It's a belief that we begin to hold consciously in our lives. And it activates the law of increase, and it activates the law of circulation. And here's the second A, altitude. It's a viewing point. It elevates your viewing point. So that you're living and moving and having your being and thinking and praying and playing and whatever else you're doing in absolute abundance and perfect prosperity. Absolute. These spiritual laws that are taught here in classes, they are absolute. They work. You've heard ignorance of the law is no excuse. it works. On the just, the unjust, what have you, the law works. So now we know, right? Now we know. So here we go. How do we get there from here? How do we get to that altitude, that higher plane? You say, hey, I'm not your Uncle Jimmy. I'm working hard for my money. I'm struggling. I'm struggling just to get through another day. And I don't know about that tax plan. I don't think it's going to work out for me. So those words are creative. We're attaching I to that creative thought. We're putting that belief, that attitude into the law. And guess what? I would get more of that very same thing that I'm saying that I do not want. Are you following that? So I think it's important to have integrity and be honest about one's experiences, but to know that, hey, that's not all there is. That thought that created that can create something else. Now, it does take some work. It really does. It really does take some work and some commitment. And I remember when I first found Founders Church and this teaching, oh, I don't know, it was before Julian was born, and that was a while back. And it was at work again, at work. And someone said, hey, did you know there's a church where people think just like you do? I go, no, I didn't know that. And it was Founders Church of Religious Science. Yes, and I went there. And later my husband went there, and later baby Julian went with us. It was very crowded, it was standing room only, and it was really exciting. And that's how I experienced it. Wow, it's a pick-me-up. It pepped me up. I feel great. But that was it. I didn't take a class. I didn't network necessarily with like-minded people, although there was abundance of them. It wasn't that I was against it. I just wasn't awake to that. And so later on, I kept going to Founders, but later on we moved, we thought, to the end of the earth, because we were like in Hollywood, we were LA kind of people, and we certainly didn't know anything about Walnut or Diamond Bar or where they were building those houses that we could afford. It felt like a million miles away to Jerome and to me, because we'd never been out there, but they were selling those houses. And we bought our first house. Julie was about 1. We signed the papers, 30 years. I was so scared. The house was $75,000 then, really. And we thought, oh my God, how are we ever going to pay this? And we didn't stay there 30 years, as you know, real estate market and such. So that was where we were. That was where we were. So I didn't understand about mental equivalent. I didn't really know. The classes were right there to help me in my struggles. And boy, was I struggling at that time of my life. On every front, just about. On every front. And so later I went to, someone said, hey, you used to love that church you went to in LA. Did you know there was one in Pomona Valley? I didn't even look for it. I don't think we had Google and all that then. I don't think we had all that then. But still, we had the phone book. Anybody ever seen one? I mean, there were ways to find out that there were the same organization. It was, and Daisy, later I found out, when we were at a party at Daisy's house, later I found out that, hey, Daisy and I were at the same church. At the same time. I was on the board. I don't know, were you a practitioner already? No, so it was quite a while back. So this grateful heart, how do we build the mental equivalent of that which we desire? How do we plant new seeds? Okay, so we start where we are. Go ahead and look at it. Go ahead. Michael Jackson said, look at that man and the woman in the mirror. What's going on? And look gently from the eyes of love. Be gentle with yourself. To love someone else, you've got to love yourself. Because we're talking about a creative process. We're talking about a mental equivalent that starts with us. And it can't be fooled. You can tell me all kinds of stories. That's okay if that's what you want to say. But the creative process gives back to you exactly the equivalent, exactly of where you are. So you say, well, wait a minute. How do I water and nurture and grow and cultivate? You know, I burnt dinner last night and I can't even keep a house plant alive. Did that ever happen? That really happened to me. I mean, I didn't burn dinner last night. This is an old story. I don't even cook dinner that much. Julian does, and he's fabulous. Fabulous cook. Fabulous cook. Fabulous cook. And he still remembers that affirmation, the closing affirmation. Something wonderful is happening. They like to say to. I was telling Reverend Dan, I like to say through me, through me, through me. Because nothing's happening to me. I am not a victim. I am not a victim of situations and circumstances. I'm awake, and it's happening through me by agreement. So that's where we really want to go. So we start where we are. We love ourselves, and that can take a while sometimes, because sometimes people feel guilty. They wish it had been another way, and all these things. Was I the only one that happened to? Okay. So, however, I want to say that there are so many tools, techniques, tons. Reverend Stacy has taught and trained so many licensed practitioners that are here in service of God through them with you. I don't know how many are here today. Many times they're wearing their practitioner stole, like Daisy is right there, the white one, if you can see that. And they're available for prayer. Not right this minute, but after the service, they're available. I don't want to stampede yet. The law of mind in action. And we have books, by the way. I have so many books. Oh my God, I have so many books. So many books. And the book, the hard, paper or hardback, not the computer books. The heavy books that you're moving from place to place. But so the teaching of Jesus says, love your neighbor. How? As yourself. Okay, well that won't work if you don't love yourself. See what I'm saying? Everything really does begin with you, and starting there and working there and using the support that's available to you. Sunday, it's a prayer after the service with the practitioners, but they also take clients, they also take appointments, and it's confidential. You're not going to see what you share with a practitioner on the internet or in Facebook or something like that. That's not happening, right? That's right. So they are really there for that. Okay. An attitude of gratitude activates the law of increase, the law of circulation, the law of supply, and it raises all of us to a higher level, to an altitude of happiness and wealth. Now, Reverend Stacy always teaches us first we pray. First we pray. And one of the unique things I feel about Ernest Holmes and the teaching of the science of mind is the way he taught affirmative prayer. Affirmative prayer. So not the begging and pleading to a sky God that's not really interested in you anyway. That's not the kind of prayer that we're talking about. And I thought, oh, Ernest Holmes, what a, genius. Which probably is true. And when I read Jesus raising Lazarus, the 5 steps and the 5 stages were right there. I go, wow, that was really something. So I did a really quick comparison. Who is familiar with affirmative prayer, the treatment that we do here? One. Okay. The reason I ask is because just to be understood. So I'll go quickly. So Ernest Holmes teaches 5 stages, or sometimes called 5 steps. And it's a way of thinking logically that brings one to a conclusion every time. Every time. That's what they call it, scientific prayer, affirmative prayer. So you recognize the power and presence, God, Spirit. Ernest Holmes called it the thing itself. So whatever your name is for that divine presence that empowers you, your creator, whatever you want to say there. And then you consciously unify with that. You're one with that, not one with the problem. You turned away from the problem, let that thing go, and started focusing there. And that unification step is that unity with that. And from that place, you're looking, you're elevated. You see a new truth. You realize the peace, the love, the joy, the prosperity, the healing in your life that you're looking at. And then you move to Thanksgiving. It's the normal outcome. When you've been given a gift, the normal outcome, the normal result is to say what? Thank you. It really is. And then you let it go. You planted a new seed. You let it go. You don't go back and pull it up. Hey, is it growing yet? See, that's not going to really... It's going to give you a result of looking at it. But it's not going to give you the result of transformation, if that's what you're looking at. Okay, so what happened? What happened with Jesus raising Lazarus? Now Lazarus, as you know, was Jesus' uncle. And Martha and Mary were praying and crying and fixing Lazarus up because they felt that Lazarus died 4 days before Jesus got there. That's the story. And so Jesus basically comes and they want him to, do his thing, work his miracles. The right use of the law sometimes is experienced for people with their language. They call it miracles. We don't. We call it a demonstration of principle. But, sort of looks like a miracle. So whatever language, it's the same thing. So Jesus gets there and he says, roll back the stone of the tomb that they're getting, ready for Lazarus' place as he's deceased. Now, what do we say? Ernest Holmes says, turn entirely away from the problem. Stop looking at, the plant that can't grow because you keep pulling it up. See? Okay. Julia told me, this is Mom. Little boy Julia. Mom, you don't have time to water these plants, and I don't want to. It was true. So really, it was very wise because it's my thing. If I want to water, I need to do it, but that wasn't what he was going to do. So that was pretty clear. Okay, back to Jesus. So he says, he gets there, he tells them, okay, move the stone away. And this is John. Now John, the Bible according to John, and you'll see the story in other places, but according to John, John sometimes is considered like the metaphysical Bible. And this is New Testament. So then he says, And Jesus, I mean not Jesus, but Lazarus has been gone for 4 days, so the story says. And Jesus says, okay, pull back that stone, and then he does this. It says, I wasn't there, but it says, he lifts, it'd be a better story if I were, but really no. Okay, so Jesus lifts up his eyes towards heaven, toward his Father, toward God. Jesus called him Abba. That was the word that he might use. See, it doesn't matter if you call it Abba, if you call it God, if you call it the thing itself. The idea is the evolution, the attitude, the raising, the altitude, the higher perspective. That's what we're going with here. So he lifts up his eyes and he says, Father, Abba, I thank thee. Thou hearest me always. So he starts right off the bat really with what? Gratitude, thanksgiving. Because he already knows the presence. He already knows the Father. So he goes there with a grateful heart, expecting the healing, expecting the miracle, expecting to raise Lazarus, really. But then he talks a little bit, because he talks about basically his mother and aunt, saying, I know you hears me always, I'm taking a little more time, this is a paraphrase, I'm taking a little more time, to convince them, And so he says, after he gives his thanks, he says, Lazarus, come forth. Lazarus, come forth. So he's pulled back, turned away from the problem, lifted his eyes to God, and given the problem, so-called there too, and he says, Lazarus, come forth. That's the realization stage. That's the realization phase. And then, because he already did Thanksgiving, he started with Thanksgiving. Then at the end, the release is John 11:44, loose him and let him go. That's a release phase. So if you're looking for some origin of Ernest Holmes, I don't know. Ernest Holmes didn't tell me either, but it was so similar, I thought it was interesting. The altitude of gratitude. The kind of people you attract in your life from that perspective is amazing. It's really amazing. So that woman alone, me, going to Walmart, getting ready for a surgery. I didn't really want it, but sometimes the body has to have a tune-up, so that was the situation. And I was getting stuff, not that appetizing, because, clear liquid, maybe some broth, I don't know, how about some Jell-O, that kind of thing. And I had my cart full of those things. And someone came to me, I was in an aisle, and she said, oh, are you ready to check out? I can help you. I go, okay. And she walked me all the way to the front of the store to her spot. And I thought, how unusual. Does that usually happen when you go to Walmart, anybody? No. Did they usually come and help you? You need help? They thought I did. Okay. So she basically did. And then we were talking about, the appetizing food that I had in my car. And I told her, therefore, about the surgery. And then she starts giving a blessing. Blessings used to be very common. Very common. Before every meal. Do you remember? And it wasn't just good manners. I mean, it was good manners, true. But it was also acknowledging the presence. Building that consciousness, that altitude of gratitude, that grateful heart for the food, for the nourishment of our bodies. To remember the source. It was a method. It could be a method, unless you just go real fast, real fast. Well, I forgot what your dad used to say. In the mouth, over the gums, through the, I don't know. Let's eat. I got to ask him. I don't remember what you said about that. Okay, so here we are, finally. In Philippians, this is King James. I know Reverend Stacy always has the more modern Bibles, but I learned on this one. This is finally, brethren. I don't know what the female, what do you call her? You call her brethren and sister, and I don't know really. I have to look, I don't know that part. Sorry, guys. Whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are right, whatever things are pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, or praiseworthy, think on these things. Think on these things. Talk about these things. We're talking about raising our consciousness to that altitude of prosperity, getting in that flow, where they go get you at Walmart, where you get outside and somebody asks, can I help you put the groceries in the car? Could have been somebody trying to steal my purse, but no, that wasn't the consciousness. See? The difference. Then I'm ready to take the card back and somebody else says, oh, I'll take that for you. I'm talking about just people. I never saw them before. And then I'm getting the feeling, in Him we live and move and have our being. I'm getting the feeling, hey, I'm not really alone. Hey, I'm getting the feeling, angels have gone before me, prepared the way, and they're welcoming me. So then my heart is open. I'm elevated. I'm more humble and more grateful. And then I get on the phone to talk to the insurance claim adjuster. I mean, after I get home, I'm not talking while I'm in the car driving. And she hears the story. And she says, we need to bless every nurse, every doctor, every clerk, every technician that goes before you, that's in the operating room, that's out of the operating room. I thought I had talked to the ministry of prayer. I'm talking to a claims adjuster. To me, I was amazed. 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 And I didn't actually call the ministry of prayer because I already had the prayer there from the claims adjuster. See, God is right where we are. If God is ever available, God is always available. So the only thing that shifts and changes would be me. See, my perception, my awareness. And if I put it one way, I can change it back. And the good news is, here, you're not alone. And you don't have to be slow like I was. Go to 2 churches, move to another town, all that. And then maybe take some classes. I didn't take the classes till the 3rd church. I wasn't against them, I just wasn't aware of that. And it transformed my life. So what I want to say, it's true. What we put our time, attention, and talent, and money to increases in our lives. So we all have that opportunity. So I'm going to invite you right now, in closing, to stand if you can. There was times I couldn't stand that much. By the time I stood, everybody else would be sitting back down. But if you can, yeah, because sometimes the body, it doesn't always agree. Okay, so if you will, look at somebody that is next to you, please. And we're going to do a quick affirmation. And you could be 2s and you could be 3s. And just say, look at them gently and say, I see your life. I see your life. I praise your life. I praise your life. I raise your life. I raise your life. In the name of love. All right, thank you. So I'm in closing. In the words of the Hindu mystics, I want to say, the spirit, the presence of God, the love in me salutes that very same thing in you. And from this place, let us say namaste. Namaste. So in closing, let us all join together as the grateful heart. And as we go our separate ways, we take this love, this light, this divine protection that we know is available to us, whether we're at the Walmart store or whether we're in church. God has gone before each of us and prepared the way. We never walk alone. And so from this place of gratitude, I simply say, thank you. Thank you, and amen.
Amen. So it is. And you all did also receive a thank you letter to write down what you're grateful for. If you give those to me, I'll mail them to you next year. Some of you received, not that many people did one last year, but some of you received your letters already. So if you would please stand so we can sing our peace song. Thank you.
Don't forget that practitioner Sabrina from Greater Las Vegas is selling tickets. Was she selling tickets? Selling tickets for Marianne Williamson. So please go see her if you're interested. And now, repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening to me right now. Something wonderful is happening to me right now. I know this in my mind. I know this in my mind. I feel it in my body. And so it is.